Hey everyone, it's Christina with My Confection Obsession, and today I'm going to be making a Rapunzel cake. Last week I made a cake for Icing Smiles, and Icing Smiles is a nonprofit organization that allows bakers to volunteer to make cakes for families with children with a critical illness. And I ended up making a really cute Rapunzel cake for a little girl that was turning 7. And I decided that I wanted to do a version for my channel, and so today I'm going to show you guys exactly how I made the Rapunzel tower and all of the details for the cake that turned out really well. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and start with the Rapunzel tower because this is going to take the longest. So what I'm using is this is from a paper towel roll, and I actually cut it down because I didn't want it as tall as the entire roll. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to cover it with fondant, and I'm going to use a sugar cone like this. This is what the structure is going to look like to make that shape of the castle tower. So all the fondant that I'm using today is my own homemade marshmallow fondant, which I'll make sure to link in the show notes. So after I roll my fondant out, I'm just going to wrap my cylinder. And there is going to be a little bit of a back seam, but I'm not that worried about it. So I do want to keep the inside of this hollow because how I'm going to place it on the cake is I'm going to put a dowel in the cake that's going to go all the way through the center to keep this supported. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little window that goes on my tower. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out the shape freehand. You can use a template and just cut it out of paper and measure it against your tower if you want to ensure that it's perfect. But I think this will be okay. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add some stone going along the tower. And so for the stone mold, I just found this on Amazon, and I'll be sure to put it in the show notes, and I'm just going to press my fondant into this. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this with a little bit of Wilton dab and hold. So this is going to stick fondant to fondant or fondant to crusted buttercream. I use it in pretty much every episode if you guys watch my channel. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little balcony in front of my window. This actually, I think, is nice because it adds a little bit of color as well. Is I'm going to use just some green buttercream and trace all the way around the shape. Eventually I'm going to add flowers, some fondant flowers. now is I'm actually just gonna set this on the styrofoam block, which I've attached a cake dowel to, and this is going to sit upright, and I'm gonna work on the roof. So this is actually gonna sit on the cake in a very similar way. So to cover the turret, what I wanna do is I wanna create like a scalloped edge. So I'm actually gonna be using a scalloped cookie cutter, and you guys will see the trick that I do. So to cover my turret, I want a scalloped edge. So what I'm doing is I have a scalloped cookie cutter, and I'm gonna use that shape, and then use a small circle cookie cutter on the inside. So I get this, and I'm gonna cut like that. And we're gonna actually start from the bottom and just wrap the shape around. And I'm just gonna continue to do that all the way around my cone. There we have our roof. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some really small fondant flowers around my tower just to add some color and make it look really pretty. So you guys can see that I already have my fondant flowers cut out. You guys can definitely do this ahead of time to save a little bit of time in the decorating process. And I did use these plunge cutters, which I'll be sure to put in the show notes. Really easy to use, and you can see I cut out various sizes because I'm going to use these on my cake later, as well as these leaves. So I'm using a little bit of dab and hold on my flowers, even though I probably don't need it. It should just stick right to the frosting. So I'm gonna go ahead and let the tower sit, and I'm gonna focus on the cake. So you guys can see that I already have a frosted, ready to go 4-layer 6-inch cake. The one I actually used for last week was 3-layer 10-inch cake, so it was much bigger. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to pipe some leaves all along the top here. My tower is gonna go in the middle. So my tower is gonna go maybe up there in the middle of my cake. So I'm gonna have a dowel here, and it's a little bit wider, but I am gonna be piping leaves all around this. This is gonna be a similar technique to the leaves that I piped in the flower wall episode. So I'm using a leaf tip 352, and just some green buttercream frosting. And what I'm doing, I'm holding, so this tip has a V like this, and when you're piping the leaves, you actually want to hold it this way, so vertical. And you're gonna hold 1, 2, 3, pull. So press 1, 2, 3, pull, 1, 2, 3, pull. And this is gonna give us that leaf shape. So I'm just gonna do this all along the top of the cake. Okay, so my leaves are piped, and what I want to do is I actually want to do a Rapunzel braid along the border. So I'm using just some yellow buttercream, and I have a large star tip, and I'll show you exactly how to do this. So for this, you're just going to make like almost like X's. So you're going to go press. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the green vines and some flowers on the cake just to give it more detail. So I'm just using a round tip and my green buttercream, and I'm just going to kind of freehand this. So these are going to look like flower vines here. Now I'm just going to add my flowers. So these are the fondant flowers I already cut out, and using my Wilton dab and hold. And I'm just going to place them where I think the colors look nice. Alright, so the sides of my cake are decorated, it looks super cute, and the last thing I'm going to do is add my Rapunzel tower. So the tower is on, and I think the cake looks great. And this design is really useful because you can actually just take the tower right off and assemble it if you need to travel somewhere to put the cake together. And I do hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. And if you're a baker and are interested in Icing Smiles, go ahead and go to icingsmiles.org to volunteer. I'll also put the website in my show notes. They are nationwide and a great organization to volunteer with. And don't forget to like this episode and subscribe to my channel. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest.